I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. I destroy my enemies when I make them my friends. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. I walk slowly, but I never walk backward. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. You can tell the greatness of a man by what makes him angry. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. My best friend is a person who will give me a book I have not read. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. The best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. All that I am, or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. A house divided against itself cannot stand. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. I don't think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Let no feeling of discouragement prey upon you, and in the end you are sure to succeed. The country wanted booze and I organized it. Why should I be called a public enemy? Nobody was ever killed except outlaws, and the community is better off without them. Once you're in the racket, you're always in it. The parasites will trail you, begging for money and favors, and you can never get away from them no matter where you go. Prohibition has made nothing but trouble. When I sell liquor, it's bootlegging. When my patrons serve it on a silver tray on Lakeshore Drive, it's hospitality. Why, the very guys that make my trade good are the ones that yell the loudest about me. Some of the leading judges use the stuff. I am like any other man. All I do is supply a demand. All I ever did was sell beer and whiskey to our best people. I'm the boss. I'm going to continue to run things. They've been putting the Riscode on me for a good many years and I'm still healthy and happy. Some call it bootlegging. Some call it racketeering. I call it a business. They can't collect legal taxes from illegal money. They talk about me not being legitimate. Nobody's on the legit. You know that, and so do they. Nobody's really on the legit when it comes down to cases. All I ever did was supply a demand that was pretty popular. I am just a businessman, giving the people what they want. Nobody wanted prohibition. This town voted 6-1 against it. Somebody had to throw some liquor on that thirst. Why not me? Hell, it's a business. All I do is supply a public demand. I do it in the best and least harmful way I can. I can't change the conditions. I just meet them without backing up. I'm a businessman. I've made my money supplying a popular demand. If I break the law, my customers are as guilty as I am. Some of the biggest draws in the country buy from me and have for years, so let's stop kidding. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. The important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. I believe in one thing, that only a life lived for others is a life worth living. Where the world ceases to be the scene of our personal hopes and wishes, where we face it as free beings admiring, asking, observing, there we enter the realm of art and science. Although I am a typical loner in daily life, my consciousness of belonging to the invisible community of those who strive for truth, beauty, and justice has preserved me from feeling isolated. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. All religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy? Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, his eyes are closed. A happy man is too satisfied with the present to dwell too much on the future. Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Few are those who see with their own eyes and feel with their own hearts. I believe in standardizing automobiles. I do not believe in standardizing human beings. A man should look for what is, and not for what he thinks should be. I am by heritage a Jew, by citizenship a Swiss, and by makeup a human being, and only a human being, without any special attachment to any state or national entity whatsoever. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. The greatest scientists are artists as well. Science can flourish only in an atmosphere of free speech. Find what you love and let it kill you. If you're losing your soul and you know it, then you've still got a soul left to lose. It's better to do a dull thing with style than a dangerous thing without it. If you have the ability to love, love yourself first. What matters most is how well you walk through the fire. Life's as kind as you let it be. Sometimes you climb out of bed in the morning and you think, I'm not going to make it, but you laugh inside, remembering all the times you felt that way. Somebody once asked me what my theory of life was, and I said, don't try. That fits the writing, too. I don't try, I just type. We are here to drink beer. We are here to kill war. We are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. If you want to know who your friends are, get yourself a jail sentence. Some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must live. People are strange, they are constantly angered by trivial things, but on a major matter like totally wasting their lives, they hardly seem to notice. Some people like what you do, Some people hate what you do, but most people simply don't give a damn. There are only two things wrong with money: too much or too little. Almost everybody is born a genius and buried an idiot. You have to die a few times before you can really live. An intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way. An artist says a hard thing in a simple way. Real loneliness is not necessarily limited to when you are alone. A love like that was a serious illness, an illness from which you never entirely recover. I often carry things to read so that I will not have to look at the people. I don't like the clean-shaven boy with the necktie and the good job. I like desperate men with broken teeth and broken minds and broken ways. They interest me. They are full of surprises and explosions. You can't build a reputation on what you are going to do. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. Employers only handle the money, it is the customer who pays the wages. Thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason so few engage in it. You don't have to hold a position in order to be a leader. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. As we advance in life, we learn the limits of our abilities. If you think you can do a thing or think you can't do a thing, you're right. It has been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. I do not believe a man can ever leave his business. He ought to think of it by day and dream of it by night. Enthusiasm is the yeast that makes your hopes shine to the stars. Quality means doing it right when no one is looking. One of the greatest discoveries a man makes, one of his great surprises, is to find he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do. To do more for the world than the world does for you, that is success. Vision without execution is just hallucination. There is one rule for the industrialist, and that is, make the best quality goods possible at the lowest cost possible, paying the highest wages possible. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Don't find fault, find a remedy. The highest use of capital is not to make more money, but to make money do more for the betterment of life. There is no man living who isn't capable of doing more than he thinks he can do. The only real security that a man can have in this world is a reserve of knowledge, experience, and ability. A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. You can't learn in school what the world is going to do next year. He who conquers others is strong, he who conquers himself is mighty. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither need you do anything but be yourself. One who is too insistent on his own views, finds few to agree with him. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Man's enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. At the center of your being you have the answer, you know who you are and you know what you want. Knowing others is wisdom, knowing yourself is enlightenment. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still. Be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. An ant on the move does more than a dozing ox. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Life and death are one thread, the same line viewed from different sides. Great acts are made up of small deeds. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them, that only creates sorrow. Let reality be a reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. The wicked leader is he who the people despise. The good leader is he who the people revere. The great leader is he who the people say, "We did it ourselves." Govern a great nation as you would cook a small fish. Do not overdo it. To lead people, walk behind them. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. When a nation is filled with strife, then do patriots flourish. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, "We did it ourselves." While I thought that I was learning how to live, I have been learning how to die. The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding. All our knowledge has its origins in our perceptions. Tears come from the heart and not from the brain. Who sows virtue reaps honor. Once you tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward, for there you have been, and there you will always long to return. Why does the eye see a thing more clearly in dreams than the imagination when awake? Where the spirit does not work with the hand, there is no art. Life without love is no life at all. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. Wisdom is the daughter of experience. Life is pretty simple, you do some stuff. Most fails. Some works. You do more of what works. If it works big, others quickly copy it. Small rooms or dwellings discipline the mind, large ones weaken it. As a well-spent day brings happy sleep, so a life well spent brings happy death. One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself. Painting is poetry that is seen rather than felt, and poetry is painting that is felt rather than seen. There are three classes of people: those who see when they are shown, those who do not see. Study without desire spoils the memory, and it retains nothing that it takes in. The acquisition of knowledge is always of use to the intellect because it may thus drive out useless things and retain the good. For nothing can be loved or hated unless it is first known. Experience is a truer guide than the words of others. The greatest deception men suffer is from their own opinions. In rivers, the water that you touch is the last of what has passed and the first of that which comes, so with present time. The human foot is a masterpiece of engineering and a work of art. Water is the driving force of all nature. Experience is a truer guide than the words of others. One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself.
Do the right thing. It will gratify some people and astonish the rest. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great. Classic, a book which people praise and don't read. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities, truth isn't. The funniest things are forbidden. There are no people who are quite so vulgar as the over-refined. When you fish for love, bait with your heart, not your brain. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Never argue with stupid people, they will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Don't wake up a woman in love. Let her dream, so that she does not weep when she returns to her bitter reality. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience, this is the ideal life. Of all the animals, man is the only one that is cruel. He is the only one that inflicts pain for the pleasure of doing it. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. You can't reason with your heart, it has its own laws, and thumps about things which the intellect scorns. The only very marked difference between the average civilized man and the average savage is that the one is gilded and the other is painted. The secret of success is making your vocation your vacation. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. The trouble is not in dying for a friend, but in finding a friend worth dying for. Truth is the most valuable thing we have. Let us economize it. No real gentleman will tell the naked truth in the presence of ladies. Laughter without a tinge of philosophy is but a sneeze of humor. Genuine humor is replete with wisdom. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. What do we call love, hate, charity, revenge, humanity, forgiveness? Different results of the master impulse, the necessity of securing one's self-approval. Do the right thing. It will gratify some people and astonish the rest. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great. Classic, a book which people praise and don't read. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities, truth isn't. The funniest things are forbidden. There are no people who are quite so vulgar as the over-refined. When you fish for love, bait with your heart, not your brain. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Never argue with stupid people, they will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Don't wake up a woman in love. Let her dream, so that she does not weep when she returns to her bitter reality. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience, this is the ideal life. Of all the animals, man is the only one that is cruel. He is the only one that inflicts pain for the pleasure of doing it. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. You can't reason with your heart, it has its own laws, and thumps about things which the intellect scorns. The only very marked difference between the average civilized man and the average savage is that the one is gilded and the other is painted. The secret of success is making your vocation your vacation. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. The trouble is not in dying for a friend, but in finding a friend worth dying for. Truth is the most valuable thing we have. Let us economize it. No real gentleman will tell the naked truth in the presence of ladies. Laughter without a tinge of philosophy is but a sneeze of humor. Genuine humor is replete with wisdom. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. What do we call love, hate, charity, revenge, humanity, forgiveness? Different results of the master impulse, the necessity of securing one's self-approval. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so, wants nothing. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. All cruelty springs from weakness. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Throw me to the wolves and I will return leading the pack. As is a tale, so is life, not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. Every night before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Man is affected not by events but by the view he takes of them. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. You want to live, but do you know how to live? You are scared of dying, and tell me, is the kind of life you lead really any different from being dead? Time heals what reason cannot. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Hang on to your youthful enthusiasms, you'll be able to use them better when you are older. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. It is not that we have so little time but that we lose so much. The life we receive is not short but we make it so. We are not ill-provided but use what we have wastefully. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place but to be a different person. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. Wealth is the slave of the wise, the master of the fool. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them but because we had them. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Life is never incomplete if it is an honorable one. At whatever point you leave life, if you leave it in the right way, it is whole.
Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs high conduct in the world. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Ultimately, after endless rebuffs, it succeeds. This is one of the few points in which one may be optimistic about the future of mankind. The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. The mind is like an iceberg, it floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Thought is action in rehearsal. Friendship is an art of keeping distance while love is an art of intimacy. In the small matters trust the mind, in the large ones the heart. A layman will no doubt find it hard to understand how pathological disorders of the body and mind can be eliminated by mere words. He will feel that he is being asked to believe in magic. Time spent with cats is never wasted. People do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility and most people are frightened of responsibility. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. The ego is not master in its own house. Love and work, work and love, that's all there is. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. We are what we are because we have been what we have been, and what is needed for solving the problems of human life and motives is not moral estimates but more knowledge. The only man who never makes mistakes is the man who never does anything. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Courage is not having the strength to go on, it is going on when you don't have the strength. I am a part of everything that I have read. Knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right. Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I have envied a great many people who led difficult lives and led them well. To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace to society. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. Keep your eyes on the stars, and your feet on the ground. Speak softly and carry a big stick, you will go far. A vote is like a rifle, its usefulness depends upon the character of the user. Whenever you are asked if you can do a job, tell them, certainly I can. Then get busy and find out how to do it. Never throughout history has a man who lived a life of ease left a name worth remembering. When you play, play hard. When you work, don't play at all. It is only through labor and painful effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things. People ask the difference between a leader and a boss. The leader leads, and the boss drives. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in a great twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. Let us rather run the risk of wearing out than rusting out. Far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. The best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and self-restraint to keep from meddling with them while they do it. With self-discipline, almost anything is possible. The most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. The boy who is going to make a great man must not make up his mind merely to overcome 1,000 obstacles, but to win in spite of 1,000 repulses and defeats. Big jobs usually go to the men who prove their ability to outgrow small ones. 9/10 of wisdom is being wise in time. Old age is like everything else. To make a success of it, you've got to start young. Courtesy is as much a mark of a gentleman as courage. I care not what others think of what I do, but I care very much about what I think of what I do. That is character. No man is worth his salt who is not ready at all times to risk his well-being, to risk his body, to risk his life, in a great cause. This country has nothing to fear from the crooked man who fails. We put him in jail. It is the crooked man who succeeds who is a threat to this country. A stream cannot rise larger than its source.